All right, everyone, let's get started in 1 minute. Again, let me know where you're joining from. All right, let's get started. Feel free to start asking questions. So, in my end, something that's come up a lot of people seem to assume that any activity that doesn't fall under the EB-1A criteria automatically contributes to final merits, but that's not actually true. For an activity to count towards final merits, it needs to reinforce the argument that you have risen to the top of your field, because with final merits, you're supposed to show sustained acclaim and that your achievements indicate that you've risen to the top of your field. So just because an activity, say volunteering or speaking, doesn't fall under any of the criteria does not mean it will automatically count towards final merits. Final merits isn't really the place where everything else comes into play. It is, as it's commonly assumed to be, it's really where you should be presenting the strongest evidence you have for your case in driving home that argument that you have risen to the top of your field. So for final merits, focus on prestige, on showing that you've been recognized by other top professionals, perhaps through exclusive speaking opportunities or recognitions such as prestigious awards. Prestige really helps a lot with final merits because it shows that you have separated yourself from other top professionals in your field, which is exactly what you want to be doing for final merits. So that's something that came up last week. A lot of questions about final merits. Something else so I recently came across, and this is from a workshop that I recently did with, like some of you probably came across this workshop about membership. But in this workshop, we talked about how membership isn't really what you think it is. It's not a criterion you just automatically meet with a bunch of general memberships that don't really show that outstanding contributions was one of the factors that was taken into account when you were granted a membership that you are now using to claim towards the membership criterion. If you want to claim membership, you'll probably want to be going for fellowships that clearly show in their bylaws that selection is based on outstanding contributions to the field, and anything that makes USCIS question whether outstanding contributions was really a factor in your getting that tier of membership is going to weaken your membership argument. So one of the most common memberships floating around that everyone seems to be going for is actually senior membership, because it's not clear whether outstanding contributions is a requirement for getting senior membership. It won't necessarily help you with the membership criterion. That doesn't mean it won't help you with your overall case. Perhaps you could get more opportunities by becoming a senior member of IEEE. And this goes for any membership that doesn't explicitly mention mention anything along the lines of you need outstanding contributions to be selected as a member, which is why committees, advisory positions, those tend to lead to strong arguments for membership. So Pratika asks, hi Jason, I'm in analytics and some data science. I'm selected to speak at Informs Analytics Plus conference. Is that considerable? I have heard of Informs, and I do think it's a notable organization in the field of analytics. So it could be considerable for final merits, assuming that you are being asked to showcase your expertise at the conference. So I would say yes, it's something to take in. It's something that can help your profile. Can you please give me some insights on how to find opportunities for a specific niche? For example, I'm into fintech, product management, smart mobility, and it's hard to be able to find opportunities. Any tips would be appreciated. So that's from Raksha. So for this, I tend to recommend a couple of things. So firstly, speak to other top professionals in your field, especially top professionals you know on a personal basis, and see if they are involved in any kinds of conferences or organizations. So if you work at a medium-sized, even small company or like a large company, they'll tend to be sponsoring a lot of events in your field. So you might want to start getting involved there first, and then through those events, start meeting other top professionals to get a better sense of what kinds of opportunities are available in your field. You can also just start Googling for these opportunities, and then, yeah. So really those two things. But I think a better source of information is actually talking to more top professionals in your field. So start reaching out to people in your field who have something in common with you. You can do this on LinkedIn. Maybe reach out to people who graduated from your alma mater or are currently students, or people who used to work at past companies. That's how you can get the highest quality information on the kinds of opportunities you want to get involved in. And the more conversations you have, the more people you meet, which will lead to more conversations, which will just give you a fuller picture of what kinds of opportunities are out there. And I also run a profile building opportunities database as well as a private group, if that's something you're interested in, to meet more professionals in your field. I think there are quite a few fintech people in my private group, and then there are quite a few product management people. There's definitely a lot of product management people in my private group. Pratika asks, what are some of the top analytics and data science suggestions? I have 11 years of experience in the financial services industry. Off the top of my head, I have a giant list of data science opportunities in my profile building opportunities database, which I can show everyone shortly. But ODSC is a big one, always, Open Data Science Conference. Anything that can do with Informs, I think, is notable. Yeah, I would have to take a look at my database to have a better sense of all the opportunities that are available. But I do know that ODSC is coming up, and it is a big one. So it's a big opportunity for data science and analytics. So just to show everyone the resources I have as part of my newsletter. So right now I run a newsletter for people who are profile building towards EB-1A and O1, and then also NIW. This is my profile building opportunities database that I just mentioned. So these are just profile building opportunities categorized by criteria and field. And I also have quite a few opportunities for data science that I've listed out here. So this is the profile building opportunities database, which contains over 290, probably more than that, profile building opportunities. So this is a part of a resource that I offer as part of my paid newsletter, which is $12 per month. And then in addition, you also get access to AAO decisions reviews. These are appeals decisions based on EB-1A, NIW, and O1 petitions that were initially, it looks like I'm not sure my screen anymore. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, this is my profile building opportunities database, which shows opportunities categorized by field, by criteria. So for data analytics and data science, a bunch of opportunities listed here. And this is just to give you starting points. You'll probably still want to engage in some of the conversations I was talking about to learn more about your field. And then these are also AAO decisions reviews. So occasionally I review appeals decisions that go into reasons for why an EB-1A petition was initially denied, or an NIW petition, or O1 petition. And these decisions give you a glimpse into USCIS's reasoning behind initially denying an EB-1A, NIW, or O1 petition. And from them, I draw profile building insights. And I also have some video resources. These are just conversations I have with EB-1A recipients, and more I ask questions that a lot of you ask me about, such as how do I claim leading a critical role, how to find references. These are the kinds of questions I'm answering right now within these recorded conversations. And something that I've also noticed is so I also run a group chat, which is a part of my newsletter, and that's where a lot of opportunities are coming up. A lot of people are not only working with others in the group, but they're also offering up opportunities they come across. So recently, an IET fellow in the group offered a peer review opportunity to 4 to 5 people in the group. So this was just based on his involvement with a top organization in the field as a peer reviewer. So it seems like people, and then someone last week offered up an IEEE conference speaking opportunity. So it seems like within this group, there are a lot of people who are just helping each other out. They're even providing independent references for each other. So this is also a space that could help you a lot with profile building and having those conversations with more top professionals in your field. And yeah, fintech is somewhat covered in my database, but I think at this point it's more about working with other top professionals as well and seeing where those collaborations might lead. That's going to drive the most progress for profile building, not just going for opportunities that I list, but working with the people who are in the private group. And there are quite a few people in the private group right now. And then working with them to find more opportunities together, to work on papers if you want to go for authorship, to work on trade publication articles. That's also something you can look into. So working with others in your field is definitely something that can drive a lot of progress. That's what I've seen so far within my newsletters private group, which you also get access to for $12 per month. Hill asks, can researchers from non-PhD with entrepreneurial experience present a case for EB-1A at the intersection of HCI and machine learning ML? If so, what factors would strengthen their petition? Everything just comes down to, can you make an argument for how you've risen to the top of your field? It's not about having a PhD. It's not about having certain, it's not about certain, like checking off certain boxes that if checked will automatically mean you have a strong case. You still have to make the argument that you've risen to the top of your field. If you're able to make that argument, able to present a strong narrative for how you've risen to the top of your field, then you have something going for your case. But if you're saying factors, any evidence that shows that you've risen to the top of your field, that's really what comes down to the factors that strengthen your petition. So that could be getting recognized alongside other top professionals in your field through speaking opportunities or through board positions, through advisory board positions, through committee positions. That's evidence of being recognized by other top professionals in your field because you're getting selected for prestigious opportunities in your field, or getting strong independent references from other top professionals in your field. That's again showing that you're being recognized for your expertise in your field, or doing activities to meet at least on a plain language level, judging an authorship. That could also strengthen your petition. So those are just some of the factors that come to mind. Mohammed asks, Jason, I am a physician in my home country and currently an academic fellow with my physician-related career on the side. As it is still pending, would my research profile solely be worthy of consideration for an EB2 or EB1, given that my research, around 14 papers, is sort of scattered across various medical fields? Thanks a bunch for the session. You're welcome. For EB2 and IW, it's more about showing that you have a proposed endeavor that contributes to the field of national interest. That being said, NIW is highly discretionary right now. So if you do have some sort of EB-1A profile, then that you can show that you've risen to the top of your field within your home country in your circumstance, then perhaps EB-1A is something to look into. It's hard to say because you haven't really said what your proposed endeavor is for EB2 and IW, or whether you can show that you've risen to the top of your field for EB-1A. So hard to say. Yeah. Worth looking into, but hard to say. Anyone else have questions? Hill asks, follow up, do I need to show I've risen to the top in both research, HCIML, and entrepreneurship separately? Or is excellence at their intersection enough? depends on the kind of case you're trying to present. If you're fully focused on research, then you would have to show that you're a top researcher and that you're risen to the top of your research field. If entrepreneurship, then you have to show that you're some sort of leading founder, that you've risen to the top of that field. If your case is based on an intersection of both, then showing that actually it really it would depend on how you're trying to present your case. So it's probably going to start with your field. I don't think entrepreneurship is really a field, more so something you're doing. So like in the case of entrepreneurship, you would probably have to show something that's like you would have to show a vastly different set of facts probably. So you would have to show you're a top founder, maybe you got funding, maybe you got some sort of traction, and now you're getting media coverage for that traction. But yeah, it would be it's hard to say right now, not enough facts. But if you say that you want to show that you're a top founder in the field, then you could use research to boost that profile. Yeah. I think it's more about the field that you're trying to show a profile in. Yeah, I don't think there are enough facts there. It really depends on which one of those three choices leads to the strongest argument that you've risen to the top of your field. Like if you have a ton of research, if you have done a ton of research, and you have just started to, I don't know, like your own company, then you probably have a much stronger argument that you've risen to the top of your field as a researcher versus if you are a top founder in your field and you just started to do research, then it would make far more sense to present a founder-focused profile. So, yeah, not enough facts in that. Do you have suggestions on how to approach press releases? Outreach. It's all about outreach. By press releases, do you mean getting covered by major media or trade publications? I would say applying. Some of these trade publications have ways for you to apply to get covered in upcoming editions of, say, like their trade publication. But outside of that, just reaching out to people who are involved in these publications, reaching out to a lot of reporters and journalists. Sridhar asks, I'm starting to build my profile and a new entrant to this group. Where can I look for peer review opportunities, authorship opportunities, etc.? Peer review opportunities can come from based on the people I've spoken to who've gotten like 5 to 10 peer review opportunities. They've just done a lot of outreach. We're talking like hundreds of emails. People have sent hundreds of emails to get peer review opportunities. You can also get peer review opportunities by talking to people who are peer reviewers or involved in conferences. There are a bunch of these people in my private group because they are offering up peer review opportunities. So talking to people who are peer reviewers, are involved in conferences, are involved in committees, in research-focused professional organizations can be a way to get peer review opportunities. But if you're going for judging in general, you don't have to get peer review opportunities. You can judge awards, you can judge competitions, you can potentially even be an advisor to a bunch of companies on a voluntary basis, and then say you've judged the work of others since you reviewed the work of others as an advisor. Authorship opportunities, same thing. Get involved in conferences, get involved in professional organizations. These aren't just opportunities that are, well, they are, some of them are lying around that you can just apply for, but chances are those opportunities are just going to get taken up and that there are hundreds, if not thousands of people applying for those opportunities. So you probably want to be talking to more people to find those opportunities that are not publicly visible, but come through referrals, come through conversations. That's what you want. That's what you want to be doing. Well, starting a company, getting funding, and solving an essential problem is considered for EB-1A. Depends on the extent to which depends on how much traction you get. So if you raise a ton of funding, say like Series A or whatever, like Series B, and you solve some sort of major problem that's been really impacting an industry, and then you just suddenly solve this problem, then perhaps you could make the argument that you've risen to the top of your field, but just try to get away from the mindset of, do I have to do this thing to show that I've enough for EB-1A? That's not how it works. It's about showing that you have a strong argument that you've risen to the top of your field. If you can't make that argument, it doesn't matter what you do. You'll just have a bunch of isolated facts that don't really have anything to do with each other. And then what ends up happening is you just have a laundry list of facts. What you want to avoid is that exact situation where you have a bunch of random activities that have nothing to do with the argument you're trying to make for how you've risen to the top of your field. You want to be showing how you've risen to the top of your field through what you've done, not trying to do things to rise to the top of your field, if that makes sense. Unless you already have an understanding of what makes you a top professional, in which case you're just getting opportunities to show the fact that you've risen to the top of your field. That's the difference. You have to show the fact that you've risen to the top of your field through the activities you do, not think that doing certain activities will automatically make someone think that you're risen to the top of your field. So it's like, if you're a top founder, go for top speaking opportunities. But if you're not a top founder, then it's, even if you went for like a, I don't know, like say you went for a speaking opportunity, that doesn't show that you're a top founder. You have to first identify what makes you a top professional first, and then go for the opportunities that will help you. Not go for every opportunity and then kind of like see what kind of picture you can make out of the opportunities you've gotten. What ratio do you recommend between charging and peer reviews? Don't think there's really a ratio. It doesn't really, I don't think it really matters. Like a lot of you just have to start doing activities. These granular, like some of these questions don't really help that much. I guess like do as much judging and peer reviewing as possible. Maybe 2 to 3 peer reviewing opportunities. But yeah. Anyone else have questions? Anyone have questions? Hill asks, thanks. What evidence can one submit for a volunteer advisor role at a company? Would an email from the founder work, or specific forms needed? I think the strongest form of evidence would be a strong reference from say the CEO of a company. That's because, again, you're making the argument that you're risen to the top of your field. Say you advised a rising founder in the field. How do you want to contribute to the argument that you're risen to the top of your field? Probably some sort of strong testimonial letter from this founder, because it's someone who is also a top professional saying this person is a top professional. But yeah, emails to any sort of documentary evidence would help. Shona asks, what about masters in data science? As in, will it help? On its own, probably not with EB-1A, because it's something that a lot of people have. So it doesn't really show that you're risen to the top of your field. Do you have any more sessions scheduled with EB-1A recipients? Yes, I have one I have one tomorrow with the EB-1A recipient who went from STEM OPT to EB-1A. So I think in his session you'll get a really good understanding of the importance of case narrative, because he claimed 4 criteria, but I think he knew he didn't have strong evidence for authorship. So his case was literally just built on original contributions, leading a critical role, and high salary. And yeah, he got RFE'd and he still got approved. So, but he was able to tell a very compelling narrative. He was able to show very clearly how he rose, how he managed to rise to the top of his field. Shona asks, should individuals start publications? Start an entire publication? I mean, if you are a top professional and you think that's one way to show that you've risen to the top of your field, because you're going to get other top professionals reading your publication, perhaps that could be something to consider. But if you, but something to keep in mind is it takes a lot of time to build that kind of traction for a publication. Yvonne asks, how do you make membership criteria stronger? I have 5 memberships, but I'm considering how to demonstrate my contribution. So it's not about quantity of memberships. It is about showing that you were selected as a member on the basis of your outstanding contributions. If you can't show that, then it doesn't really matter how many memberships you have, because you aren't really meeting the membership criterion. So see if the memberships you have see if the different tiers of memberships within the organizations you've joined. And if there's a tier that requires that you have to have outstanding contributions in your field to get that tier of membership, try to get that tier of membership, and then make the argument that you have been recognized for the outstanding contributions you have made in your field. Ravine asks, how should I document and present a high salary in an EB-1A petition? Are there any specific site references or guidelines you can provide? Usually base salary, 90th percentile, Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's how you want to be showing high salary. Anyone else have questions? Anyone have questions? All right, no one else has questions. Thanks everyone for joining.